for my presentation, and this is going to be just going over my mentorship. My name is Deja Moore. I did my mentorship with Mr. Jeff Burkhart at Bridgeway International. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, so and I'll talk a bit about him a bit later, so you know who he is, since you couldn't meet him. So this is just the table of contents and everything that we're going over. And to start off, I'll show you guys my portfolio that I created. And this is just an amalgamation of all of the work that I've done in my ISM course, everything that I've done in my mentorship as well. So to start off here, there's the About Me slide, and this just talks a little bit about who I am and some of my goals. And then we have the About My Mentor. As you can see, I will talk a bit more about him later. But this is Mr. Jeff Burkhart. And then these are all of my journal entries. The journal entries are just a series of essays that we were written in ISM. We get prompt weekly, and we're supposed to write a bit about our mentorship and about the things that we are experiencing and our experiences in our mentorship and our ISM. And then this is my mentor interview. I apologize for the way that it looks. I'm not as the best with technology, so this was the best that I could get to show, to input in there. And then this is just the link to my final product, a brief overview about what my product is, and then the link to my second product. And then next we have my midterm presentation, and then my final presentation, the slide decks for everything. So my midterm presentation was something that we did midway through the semester. It was kind of just a checkpoint to see how we were doing in terms of progress and creating our final presentations. And I'll scroll through that. And as you can see, the vibe of my midterm is completely different from the vibe of my final presentation. And I'd like to think that that shows a little bit of growth that I've had over the semester. And then here we have my resume that we worked on in class, and then the product proposal that I created when we were trying to find our products and when we were first creating them. The bibliography of all the research I put in when trying to create my final products, and I used most of this research when working on my product proposal. So, just a bit of background information. When we were first starting finding our mentors, the very beginning of school, when we first got back, I wanted to go into a field of something that I was more passionate about, and I was so geared on trying to find one that was mainly in something seamstress related or something having to do with fashion, since those are some of the things that I am very passionate about. But I was very unlucky and couldn't find one. So I asked for some help from the people around me, and I ended up getting introduced to Mr. Jeff. And when I was first meeting him, I remember I was so nervous because I was like, he's gonna be my mentor and I want to make a good impression. And I remember going and trying to be as professional and polite as I could be, and trying to be an active listener and understand everything that he was saying. But when I walked out, I completely forgot everything. And I just remember being like, I feel so bad that I forgot everything because I was trying so hard to listen, but it made me want to go back and learn more about what he did, and it made me a little more curious because I didn't understand what it was that he did. I'm going to mention later, but Mr. Jeff has experience in the military, so I was also very interested in hearing what he has to say, since in the future I do plan to join the Air Force and become a a pilot through the Air Force. And when I was thinking about creating this and thinking about my future, and since me wanting to be a pilot and me doing my mentorship with someone who does career advising, the fields are almost completely different. But I found in doing this mentorship that there are a lot more similarities than I'd like to think, and a lot more skills involved that I'm going to be utilizing and when trying to become a pilot. So then this is my mentor, as you saw earlier. That's Mr. Jeff Burkhart. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. As I stated earlier, he is a very busy person, so he's currently stuck in a meeting. And he is the owner of Bridgeway International. And he's owned this company for about 3 years, and he is in training and education, and he's been in that field for about 15 years. And his company is mostly focused on career advising and guiding people in the transition between schooling and entering the workforce. So a bit about my experience with working with Mr. Jeff. I remember I went to mentor with him that first Friday. I came in and he sat me down and we talked about what it is that I was going to be doing, and then I just got straight into work, and it was very easy because the work that he gave me was research. And for the majority of my time there, I spent most of it doing research and or data entry for him. For example, I would be looking up, let's say one day I'd be looking up plumbers in the area, and I'd have to research the companies that would come up on Google, and I'd have to input all of their information into a shared Google document. And he would use that information in his in projects that he would be doing for the company. And this work was at first really tedious, and I was always so kind of thrown off by it, since I never really did a lot of research before, since I'm not a really tech savvy person. But when I was doing this, especially since I did it pretty much every single time, I felt that repetition really helped me to increase my technological skills, and I've come out of this a bit more tech savvy, so now I have a lot better research skills. So going forward, and this will be very useful in some of my later projects. So to talk about a bit about the information that I had to source. When I was first creating my project, I had to put in quite a bit of research, because I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. Since this field wasn't something that I was particularly very passionate about, I found that it was very hard to find a product or an idea that would showcase what he did, but also what I was learning with him in a very professional and very helpful manner. So I had to do a lot of background research into what he did, and looking into different ways that I could come up with something that could actually help. And once I found my product and the idea that I wanted to go with, trying to bring my vision to life took even more research. I think I spent all of 3 months trying to find enough information to fill everything, because when I was making my website, I just felt that it wasn't enough. And I wanted this website, I wanted my project to be something that was actually useful. So I wanted my research and how much information I had in there to reflect that. And then a bit about the trials that I've had. I started this project fairly early into the semester. I think about maybe a few weeks into our mentorship, my mentorship, I started working on the project because I wanted to just dive straight in and get it finished, because I knew that it would be a lot of work for what I wanted to complete. And of course, it was so difficult in creating this because of how many bumps and just issues that came up. Every other week there was something new that would come along and that I'd have to teeter around or try to solve. For example, after I found my product and I started working on creating it, I found that since it is a website and I'm not a tech savvy person, I had to use a website builder websites to create my own website. Say that 10 times fast, but I just went through about 3 or 4 different website builders before realizing that it was just eating up too much time, because a lot of them were difficult to use and I couldn't understand how to fully make them function properly. And then once I did get a little good in using them, they looked absolutely terrible and they just weren't serving the purpose that I needed them to serve. So I asked some of the people around me. I know I asked my mentor for his advice because he is very tech savvy, and he was like, yeah, absolutely, and gave me maybe about 3 or 4 sites that I could try. And he is also how I ended up finding the site that I'm using now for my project. And download the video, download the lesson, or they don't want to listen to the video. Then we have the other lessons in that chapter. So then to that guide. And as you can see, the other lessons. So then I'll click back over. And back to presenting. So that was my my website, which was the bulk of my project. And these are just some progress photos that I took while working on my project. In the top left one, this was me when I was, before I started recording one of the videos, when I was working on creating some of the lessons. And then that bottom one was me with Miss Bear, one of the only other people seen in the videos. And then to talk a little bit about the second part of my product, which I mentioned earlier, was my one event, my seminar. So I wanted to host a seminar as the second part of my product, since I thought that the website, while it wasn't a physical product, I wanted something that I could see in front of me. I wanted to see the effect that my lessons and that the things that I was teaching per se would have on the people around me. So this seminar was supposed to be for that, but unfortunately we ran out of time and I wasn't able to actually host it. So this will be the outline and plan of that, and I'll pass out the seminar plans. There you guys go. And these are just, I'm going to talk about these a little later. These are the outlines for some of the tables and the booths that will be passed out if I were to actually put this plan into progress. So let's see. So that's just the agenda. And then we have the introduction slide, and this is just when I'm first getting started and I'm meeting everybody and getting everything set up and gathering all my information, like that page, for example, that was for. And then the second step would be to talk with volunteers, since this would be an actual event, and since I'm only one person, I couldn't be everywhere all at once. And all of the booths that I have would require extra people to attend them to make sure that everyone was actually getting the point of this event. And then the second part of the seminar plan that I passed around, and this would just be what I would give to not only the guest speakers, but also volunteers and anyone who would be helping and planning, like my teacher, Ms. Denner, for example, since she would be one of the people that I would need to talk to when trying to host the seminar, especially if on school. I would need to give her an outline, and so this would be what I would give her when talking about it. So then also guest speakers, since this was something that I was trying to put into plan, I had talked with some of the people around me, people who would be helpful in talking about this event, since it is a career advising event that would be showcasing some of the lesson plans, which are skills that you can use when helping you to enter the workforce. These are just 3 people. Of course, my mom is one of them, since she works with helping people get jobs at Workforce Solutions, and then one of my mother's coworkers who also works at Workforce Solutions, and then my mentor, Mr. Jeff Burkhardt, will be the second one, since he works in career advising. And then the start of it, I'd open the event, and this would be when people could just walk in, and it'd be kind of like the start of it. And if you saw on the plan, this would be like the very beginning at the 1 o'clock when everyone's getting in. So then we'd have the guest speakers speak, and they would speak for about, since there are only 3, I give it about 15 to 20 minutes total time, and each speaker would have about 5 minutes or so to speak about a topic. And of course, I'd provide a list of topics for them to choose from to speak about, so that way they don't feel overwhelmed when trying to find something to speak about, since it can be kind of overwhelming for seminars like this. And then everyone would be released to go to the activity booths. And for the activity booths, each activity booth would be its own separate event, and you'd have to get a ticket or a hole punch on your card. There would be little cards that would be passed out, and the goal of this is to go to as many booths as possible and complete as many activities at those booths and be the first person to do so and win a prize at the end. So then the activity booths would have about an hour for people to just walk around, talk to people, and things like that. And then after the hour, I would give the ending speech about 15 minutes, and this would just be to announce the winner if somebody wins, or who the top 3 people who win, they pick their prizes. I thank everyone for coming, thank the mentor, thank all the guest speakers, and things like that. And then we'd be wrapping it up. So then, to conclude, this mentorship, perseverance, and giving me a sense of determination to push through the things that I set my mind to, and it's really shown me that if I really put my best foot forward, that I can create something beautiful, if you will. And I feel like this has really given me the opportunity to see that everything isn't so black and white, and that there is a lot of options out there for me. Because while this mentorship isn't something that I thought I would have done before, it definitely is something that I'm curious about, because I found it to be very interesting while working on it. And going forward, I'll definitely put my knowledge and the technology to good use. And my citations, the ones from the website, and then the ones I used on my final product. Anybody have any questions? Questions? No questions? Great.